In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up Claude Code for building things in Salesforce. This will be a step-by-step beginner guide. It assumes that you've never written code, never opened an IDE, and never used a terminal in your life. If that's you, you're in exactly the right place. So here's a list of the things we're going to install in order. If you already have some of these installed, you can just skip to the next step. The chapter list is in the description below with timestamps, so you can just jump to the next chapter. One thing I want to mention, the order on this screen is the order that you should install them. So 3 things before we start. The first thing is you're going to need a sandbox or a free developer org. I'm actually using a free Trailhead org. The second thing is you're going to need a paid Claude plan to use Claude Code, Pro or higher. The free tier doesn't include Claude Code. And then the last thing before we start the installations is you'll need admin rights to install software on your laptop. So if this is your personal laptop, that shouldn't be an issue. But if it's a company laptop, you might run into blockers while installing. All right, so the first installation is VS Code. I'm going to download for Windows, but it's available for Mac as well. And then from here, I clicked on the download and I'm just going to run through this. Installation's complete. I'm going to click finish. So after you click finish, VS Code should automatically launch. If it didn't, go ahead and open VS Code. All right, so once VS Code's open, we're going to go to the bottom here and expand this section. And we're actually already on terminal. But if you're not on terminal, click on the terminal tab. And from here, I'm just going to check the VS Code version. So I typed out code space -- version, and then I'll hit enter. If you've received any kind of error here, try closing and reopening VS Code, and then try this same command in the terminal again. All right, so our first install is off the list. The next install on our list is the Salesforce CLI. So again, I've provided links to all of these installs in the description below. From here, I'm going to download for Windows 64. I'm just going to click through this install wizard. All right, so that's done. I'm going to click close. So the next step is we actually need to close and reopen VS Code. So from the terminal, type in sf space -- version and then hit enter. So you can see it returns the CLI version. So we successfully installed the Salesforce CLI. All right, next on our list is Java JDK 21. So again, a link to this install will be in the description below. The link should bring you to this specific tab, JDK 21 LTS. And then from here, I'm going to click on this Windows download. And again, I'm going to click through this wizard. All right, so that's done. Just a quick note, while I was going through that, I left everything on default. So you're just clicking next on each screen. I'm going to go ahead and click finish. All right, so again, you should know the drill by now. We're going to have to close and reopen VS Code. So once VS Code's open again, in the terminal, we're going to type in Java space -- version and then hit enter. And then you can see we have Java version 21. So that install was successful as well. All right, so the good news is the next 2 are actually going to be installed in VS Code. So in VS Code, we're going to click on this icon, extensions, and then we're going to type in Salesforce. And then from here, we're going to install this Salesforce extension pack and then click install. All right, so that took a few minutes to complete. The next thing we're going to install is Claude Code. So up here, we're going to type in Claude, and it's the top one right here, Claude Code for VS Code. We'll click install. And again, trust publisher and install. From here, we still need to create a project and connect it to our org. So from here, we'll click on File and then click Open Folder. And then I'm going to right click and create a new folder. And then I'll name this new folder Salesforce and then click Select Folder. From here, I'm going to hold down the following keys, Control-Shift-P, and then we'll type in sfdx and we'll create a project with manifest. We'll select standard and then we'll call this Claude Code Sandbox and then hit enter. And we'll create the project in the Salesforce folder. All right, so from here, if the terminal is not showing, expand this bottom section here. So again, we're going to hold down Control-Shift-P, and this time we're going to type in authorize, and we'll select authorize an org. For Trailhead orgs, you'll actually select production, but if it's a sandbox, select sandbox. I'm going to select production. And again, I'll name this Claude Code org, and then hit enter. So that command should launch this window. From here, you need to provide your username for whatever sandbox or org you're using, and then click login, and then type in your password, click login again. And then we get this success message so we can actually close out of this. So back in VS Code, you'll see down here that we have this Claude Code org connected. All right, so one thing I forgot to mention, you actually do need to run this command in your PowerShell. So IRM and then this URL right here. So this exact command, this will allow us to use Claude Code in the terminal. So everything's successful, installation complete. I'm going to exit out of this. And then just to be safe, I'm going to close and open this again. All right, so now that we have everything installed, let's next go ahead and connect Claude Code. So we'll type out Claude and then hit enter. So we get a welcome to Claude Code. I'm going to keep it on dark mode and hit enter. And then this is where we're prompted to log in. So I'm going to select option number 1, Claude account with subscription. And then once you log in, you're going to need to authorize the connection. And then you'll receive an authentication code. So I'll copy that code and then you'll paste that code right here and then hit enter. So login successful, press enter again. Then it gives you these security notes. Press enter again. And then for this, I'm going to select option number 1 to use the recommended settings. And then lastly, I'm going to select yes, trust this folder. That's the folder that I created, the Claude Code sandbox folder. And then for now, I'm not going to do the full screen render, so I'll select option number 2. All right, so now our Claude Code is connected. Before we type out any prompts, let's ensure that Claude Code has that connection to the org that we want. So I'm going to type out what Salesforce org is my default org. So you can see it says, I'll check your Salesforce CLI config. So I'm going to select option number 2. So as expected, my default org is the Claude Code org that I set up earlier. This is the only Salesforce org that I've authorized since downloading VS Code. So just to prove that it's connected, I'm going to take that prompt, open the org in the browser. So I've sent that open the org in a browser prompt. It should be launching my browser soon. So just from prompting in Claude Code, we were able to launch the org in the browser. So I'm actually going to do a split screen just so I can navigate back and forth between the org. So again, to test the connection, I'm going to do another prompt. How many accounts are in my Salesforce org? And I'll hit enter. All right, so it came back saying there's 14 accounts in my org. So I've navigated to my sales app to verify that. I'll click on accounts and we'll view all. And you'll see if we scroll down, there are 14 accounts in this org. So that's a pretty simple test. Let's try another prompt. List all the custom objects in my org with their API names, hit enter. And while that's doing that, I'll navigate to setup, click on object manager. All right, so that returned the result. Your org has no custom objects. And that's because it's a brand new Trailhead org. If I search custom object, you'll see that nothing shows up in this column here that's a custom object. All right, so since there's no custom objects, let's make that our next prompt. Create a custom object called project with a text name field. Give it a label project and the plural label projects. Create the metadata files in this project, but do not deploy yet. All right, so that took less than a minute. It's been created, but not deployed yet. And then it gives you all the details of the custom object here. So the API name, the label. If we scroll down, it does have 2 notes down here. There's no tab for this object, so it won't appear in the app launcher. It suggests to add the tab too, so we'll do that. All right, so again, that took less than a minute. The tab's been added, but still not deployed yet. So down here it says deploy when ready. I'm gonna go ahead and prompt deploy it. And then when that's done running, we should see it show up in the object manager over here. All right, so that's done running. It deployed successfully. I'll go ahead and refresh my browser. And then if I scroll down to project, you'll see project as a new custom object. I'll click on project, and then we'll click on fields and relationships. So if we go back to what was returned by Claude Code, 2 things still true from before. Tab visibility, so the tab is still hidden. And there's also no permission sets that exist for this object yet. So you can see that as you're building with Claude Code, it's not just doing what you're asking. It also offers suggestions in the form of pre-populated prompts like this, where all you have to do is hit the tab key, and it'll automatically populate that prompt. I'm not going to do it for this video. One last prompt just to show how quick this is. Add 3 fields to the project object, start date as a date, status as a pick list with values, and here are the values here, and budget as currency. Show me the files and then deploy. All right, so as you can see, it took 2 minutes and 44 seconds. If I refresh the browser, so we're still in the project custom object, and as you can see, all 3 custom fields have been created. Budget, start date, and status. So that's all I have for this video. We installed everything we needed: VS Code, the Salesforce CLI, Java, the Salesforce extension pack, and most importantly, Claude Code. We connected Claude Code to our Salesforce org, and then we used it to do things like query the org and build a custom object from plain English prompts. So that's really the whole foundation. From here, to start building in your Salesforce org, all you need to do is start prompting. Thank you all for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.